Donald Trump made history yesterday by being the first sitting U.S. president to walk into North Korea, taking 18 steps into North Korea through the demilitarized zone. And I found it to be kind of incredible, amazing. I don't know what to say about what his intentions are, what his plans are. All I know is what's on the surface. The president says he wants peace. There's some back and forth. Some meetings fall through. He comes back. And then all of a sudden, there he is standing in North Korea at great risk to himself. This is the premise of my video yesterday, that Trump is trying his hardest to bring about peace, presumably, like based on what we see. I'm not going to make any assumptions otherwise. And the left and people in media are actively trying to sabotage him. Now, I didn't go over everything I could have gone over. This story actually came out, I believe, after I had already had filmed. But once again, we are seeing this insane example of Democratic politicians attacking Trump for trying to bring peace to the peninsula. Now, sure, some people say they don't trust him. They don't think he's actually doing... Look, I don't care if you trust him. I don't care what he thinks he's doing. He just did this, okay? He just walked into North Korea. There you go. If that's all he does, and then he never says North Korea again, and then the next president comes in and it's a stepping stone, okay? It's all incremental. We want peace, and so in diplomacy, sometimes you retreat or you lose a battle to try and win the war. There are people coming out saying, but North Korea is so evil and they're so bad. Why isn't Trump, sanctioning them or doing these things because of the Americans they've captured, detained, or killed? It's like, listen, dude, I get it. Here's the thing. If Trump goes in there and starts berating Kim Jong-un or yelling at him about the actions he took, it's going to hold up peace arrangements. You have to lose some of these battles if you want to win the war, right? And so I'm using that metaphorically to quite literally say, if Trump wants peace, he has to give up some of the battles he's hoping to win, such as the Americans who were, wrongly killed or detained. Sure, they need to be released, first and foremost. And you get there not by, it's like, imagine you get into a fight with like your girlfriend or boyfriend. And so then you're like, what about that time you ate my chicken wings? It's like, dude, drop it. You lost the chicken wings. I understand that's kind of, I'm not trying to be insensitive to compare humans. I'm just trying to make an example of how bringing up these things isn't going to get you the desired outcome. But let's take a look at what the Democrats are saying, because apparently Trump trying to get peace in the Korean Peninsula is a bad thing. Or they just don't like the guy. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There are multiple ways you can donate, but of course, the best thing you can do is share the video, because YouTube no longer suggests my videos the way they used to, for whatever reason. Censorship, bias, I don't know. I'm not the most, my politics are such boring, moderate, tepid, milquetoast fence sitter. But I guess YouTube can't be sharing none of that. From Reuters, they say Democratic candidates dump on Trump over North Korea meeting. Why are you doing that? What? U.S. candidates running for the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination on Sunday criticized Trump's latest overture to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, saying the leader's meeting lacked substance and elevated a ruthless dictator. The Republican Trump became the first sitting U.S. president to step into North Korea on Sunday, drawing on his penchant for showmanship and surprise to pull off talks with Kim and the DMZ. The meeting, at Trump's last-minute invitation, drew praise from some, including Pope Francis, as a step toward peace. Yes, it is. It is. If nothing but the show, if nothing but the image of Trump standing there, it shows trust, albeit a little bit. They could have just snatched up Trump and carried him off. But no, he walked in, they shook hands, they stood there, they waved, he walked back. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Critics called it a publicity stunt and said Trump wasted an important symbolic move when there has been little sign that North Korea has taken meaningful steps towards denuclearization. A number of Democrats vying to replace Trump in the White House in 2020 said there was nothing wrong with talking to U.S. adversaries including Kim. This round of talks, however, they said, should have followed intense preparations and substantive progress by North Korea on the nuclear issue. Our president shouldn't be squandering American influence on photo ops and engaging love letters with a ruthless dictator, U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren said in a Twitter post. Her Senate colleagues Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris called the event a photo op. I don't care. I'll say this. Out of anybody between the four of us who has skin in the game, I do. You don't. Okay, so I appreciate what Trump did. And I'll stress this too, because people have asked, like, if Tim is so anti-war and Trump is anti-war, why doesn't Tim support Trump? Okay, hold on. Hold your horses right there. Trump fired 59 Tomahawk missiles at Syria. He's selling weapons to Saudi Arabia. There's drone strikes and commando raids happening in Yemen. Trump is not a perfect anti-war candidate. He only gets a sane and rational praise from me in regards to Iran and pulling back and North Korea making this. Look, I don't care if you want to call it a photo op or a show or whatever. I don't care if Trump just wanted a big old smile on his face so he could get his picture in the paper. I don't care. He did it. You have to recognize whether or not there's anything written down, whether or not there's going to be anything on paper or we're going to gain anything outside of the press. Trump just has shown the world he took that risk walking into North Korea, and Kim Jong-un welcomed him. That is one of the most important first steps in bringing about peace. Trust. That Trump knew he could walk in without risk to himself, probably because the U.S. would crush anyone who would try and snatch up the president, but it's still a strong showing. And Kim Jong-un allowing Trump in, also a very strong showing. There have been really great strides recently in bringing peace to the peninsula. So you know what? To these people who are like, it's just a photo op. Yeah. Look, I'm going to say this, man. I don't care what the Democrats have to say. I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping that peace can come to this region. I don't want to act like it's the most important thing in my life. Okay? Because I talked about this in the video the other day. But my understanding, as family history tells, is that my great-grandmother and my great-grandfather were divided by what would now be considered North and South Korea. At the time, there was only one Korea. I visited Seoul. I thought it was it was awesome. It was meaningful for me to be there. I don't know much about my dad's side of the family because they've been in the United States for a very long time, but I have been to Dallas and I met my great-grandmother. I would like to visit Haeju in North Korea at some point. Now, it's possible to do tours and stuff, but it is very dangerous, and I have to take a lot of these things into consideration. I mean, specifically, it would be nice to just freely go, back and forth and kind of just explore and be like, wow, a part of one side of my family came from this place, and they left for some reason. So when I see that Trump made this move, I'm like, awesome, spot on. He deserves criticism in other areas. Tulsi Gabbard I like because I believe wholeheartedly she is straight up going to be like, never going to have the war. Like, no way, we're pulling back. And that's what a commander-in-chief is supposed to be doing. Like, I don't mean retreating, I mean, or like pulling troops out, I mean specifically commanding our armed forces as one of their core tasks. So Trump is nowhere near, in my opinion, as good as Gabbard is when it comes to the war issue. But Trump will absolutely get credit and praise from me for something like this, even if it's just a photo op. Images speak. Actions speak louder than words, right? Trump, we can have the news reports about what Trump did or didn't do, but we have Trump taking the steps, going into North Korea and standing there and taking the photos. And what do the Democrats do? Well, listen, the Democrats have to offer something, right? What are you voting for? If you vote for Trump, you're going to get this. You're going to get a guy who walks into North Korea, which is, whatever your opinion is. If you're voting for the Democrats, you need something different. If the Democrats praised what Trump did, they're basically saying, vote for me, I'll do the same thing. So I think one of the big things we see with the left, with the Democrats, is obstruction, blocking the president, targeting him, ignoring him, calling him wrong, simply because they need to offer something else. I think the president has a really awful attitude. I think he's kind of gross. I think he's in many ways the worst aspect of American culture. Wealthy, oafish, gloating, snarky, the way he talks about women, the way he jokes about body slamming the reporter, laughing, ha ha ha. He's said certain things that are absolutely worthy of criticism and that would put someone off. He's done things in terms of foreign policy that have been bad. Domestic policy, for me, it's not my core issue, right? So when Trump says there's a crisis at the border, I say, okay, well, define crisis. I'm listening. And then what happens? Democrats obstruct simply because they need to offer something different. Trump won. Therefore, if Trump says it, they must resist. Otherwise, what are you voting for? If the Democrats came out and said that they I'd say this, you can solve, the solution to problems is often very counterintuitive. And I tell you this right now. If you had a Democrat who came out and said Trump was right about the border crisis and the Democrats should have funded it sooner so he could avoid what we're seeing now with these children, people would be like, oh, wow. Trump was right about Iran to pull out, he should be criticized for pulling back. People would be like, oh, wow. And then you say Trump was wrong for the weapons deal in Saudi Arabia because it's aiding the war in Yemen. We shouldn't be engaging in commando raids and drone strikes in Yemen, a country we are not at war with, because we're trying to aid the Saudis. There's a lot to criticize them for. And look, most of my criticisms are foreign policy. They've always been. The point is, if you could take the things he was right about in terms of domestic policy, the things he was right about in terms of foreign policy, but then criticize the things he's wrong about in foreign policy, you would be in a stronger position to offer up something real to American voters. So what do we get now? We get, we get Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren just attacking Trump simply because they have to. At least it's my opinion, because they call it a photo op. And seriously, what of it? Trump engaged in a photo op. Great. He literally walked to North Korea and took a picture. I think that's profound. I think that's incredible. It shows an amazing step towards peace. Why are you upset about it? Why can't you have sane, rational people just say, you know what, hey, that was a pretty good thing. I think Trump can do better. I don't think it was good enough, but we should recognize it is a good step. Andrew Yang did. And that's why Yang and Gabbard are the Democrats I really like. Yang said anything that helps bring, stabilization and peace to the peninsula is a good thing. And people were mad at him for it. Gabbard, I don't know what she said specifically. I don't know if she said anything about this. But she's the anti-war candidate, period, okay? So I think it's really, really fascinating when you can see that even conservatives disagreeing with Yang and Tulsi's domestic policy recognize that they're sincere, they're principled, and we'll read a little bit more right? A spokesman for former Vice President Joe Biden said Trump was coddling dictators at the expense of U.S. national security. North Korea launched missiles into the sea just last month. U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar noted, showing the need for the United States to go into such talks armed with a clear mission and clear goals. It is not as easy as going and bringing a hot dish over the fence to the dictator next door, she said. I think you're wrong. I think you don't know what it's like to negotiate with these people. And you can't assume that going in there and being a dick is going to get you anything, is going to solve any problems. Perhaps what really is needed is someone to come over with the hot pie and, a six-pack of beers and like, hey, man, let's chill out and have a conversation and really just connect and try and figure out where our solutions are. Trump can go in and be like, how dare you? You can't do this anymore. And you're going to have an adversarial approach. So let's start with a friendly approach. Let's start with some symbolic victories, and then we can try and move forward. I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know how to solve the problem, but I can say this. No matter what we're doing here, if Trump went and argued about missiles or he went in a photo op, they're both good things. I'm just sick and tired of the Democrats saying Trump is wrong for the sake of trying to offer something to a new voter. They just want power. That's what I see. Yang and Gabbard, I see as very different. I see, and Marianne Williamson too. I got to admit, I hadn't seen from her. I do not believe that they're in it for the power. Yang really does look like a reluctant politician. Like he's not a politician, but he looks like he's getting, and Gabbard as well. Gabbard's running, but it seems like she knows what she's after, stopping these regime change wars, this foreign intervention. And I think what's really funny about Gabbard is that you're going to find a lot of like the libertarians and conservatives who are very, very anti-war are going to be like, I will take the social democrat, $15 minimum wage person if their core policy is just stopping the war and stopping wasting this money. That to me is what's truly incredible. That you actually have some conservatives saying, "Hey, she's better than the rest of them." The point I'm trying to make is, while people might not, like a conservative wouldn't choose Gabbard, they would take her over every other Democrat for principles and other reasons. So anyway, I just want to rant on this because I did yesterday too, but this is just more kind of a follow-up on how it's just what the Democrats are doing, right? The election's coming up, so here's what they're going to do. No matter what Trump says, it's wrong. That way they can try and get the vote of people who I guess they assume aren't paying attention. But there really are independents and moderates, like actual Democrats who are more moderate saying like, dude, you can point out when Trump does something good. I don't care. I don't have to like the guy to recognize that Trump did something that was good. That's like the bigger point here. You don't have to like Trump. I don't. And there's a lot of things I disagree with, but you have to encourage the good behavior. When the dude from BuzzFeed who tweeted about, killing white dudes apologized, I said spot on. When Brian Stelter tweeted out it was wrong for any note to be attacked, I said excellent, thank you very much. Because I can criticize them all day and night for the bad things, but I will always encourage the good things so they do more of it. Drop the tribal lines, man. Let's solve these problems. What Trump did in Korea was a good thing, period. Stick around. Next video coming up at 4 p.m. YouTube.com/Timcast. It is a different channel. I will see you there.